Welcome to the Smart Seeds Future Communities Showcase powered by GHD. Hello, I'm Emma Jones. I'm the Global Lead for Smart Seeds and an Innovation Consultant with GHD Digital. And it is my absolute pleasure to be your host today because this celebration, which has been many months in the making and a couple of weeks and perhaps even a couple more minutes than we were expecting, is really special to us. And it's fantastic to have you all here, so thank you. And the reason it's so special is because we're going to celebrate these teams who will present fresh and creative solutions to some really complex challenges that I know are front of mind for many of us. But first, I want to welcome one of our judges, Adam Davids. Adam is a partner at First Nations Equity Partners, and he's going to give us an acknowledgement of country. Thank you, Adam.
Thanks, Emma. It's so exciting to be here, and thank you for the invitation to be a judge and to offer an acknowledgement of country for this event. I am a proud Aboriginal man and descendant of the Wiradjuri people in central New South Wales, and for more than 10 years, I've seen the impact that GHD's approach has made towards a positive impact to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people right across the country. And it's really for that reason that I'm super pumped to be involved in the Smart Seeds program and offer this acknowledgement of country. I'm standing on the land of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders, past and present. And as I think about this protocol of acknowledging country, I think about how much it resonates with the infrastructure industry pursuant to this event. You know, the common practice of safety. I was always taught as a young person is at the heart of why we do an acknowledgement of country and a welcome to country. And so with that being said, really would like to acknowledge country and in the spirit of a safe passage and a rewarding passage on this land where I'm based. And I'm so grateful for the thousands of years of custodianship that the Gadigal people have provided that today allows me to live, work and play on this beautiful land. Final message is thank you and congratulations to all involved. Good luck with the competition and thanks so much to GHD and to all the participating organisations.
Thank you so much, Adam. And as I said, we are all really excited, but first I do need to cover off on a little bit of housekeeping and to give you some background information as well. So firstly, if you are still having any technical difficulties or if any of them arise, you can just use the chat on the side to let our production team know, and they're more than happy to give you a hand. But as I was saying today, and Adam said, it's all about celebrating these teams. And I want to thank the participating organisations from across Australia who are with us today. Bridge Housing Limited, the Department for Infrastructure and Transport of South Australia, the Hunter and Central Coast Development Corporation, John Holland Group, McConnell Dowell Constructors, Orange City Council, Renewal South Australia, Stockland, Sydney Water, Transport for New South Wales, and of course GHD. We know how much your participants have invested in terms of time and effort into these pitches, so thank you so much. And to give the rest of you some background on just how much time and effort has gone into this, I want to tell you a bit about Smart Seeds. So since 2013, Smart Seeds, our network has grown to more than 1,800 alumni across 250 organisations globally. And each of these programs, like you're seeing today, begins with industry leaders joining our community through a shared commitment to promote innovation and the young professionals in their organisations. And together, these industry leaders, they start the whole thing off by identifying challenges that will require multidisciplinary thinking and collaborative action. They then nominate young professionals in their organisations to take part in Smart Seeds to tackle these challenges. And the participants learn design thinking principles and so that they can innovate and influence change. And they do this by forming diverse cross-sector teams with people they've never met before. And they begin by tackling the challenge through interrogation, empathy research, and interviews so that they can understand really who is impacted and how. You'll see some of that coming through today, because then based on all of that insight they gather, They begin developing an idea for a solution. They brainstorm, then they prototype, they refine it, test it, refine it, and test it, and more testing. And finally, what you'll see is this, how they've condensed all of this into a short video to tell you the story. And this is what you're going to expect today. You'll hear from 5 amazing teams, each presenting their concept for solving a complex challenge in just a 2-minute video, followed by feedback and questions from our wonderful judges, who you will meet shortly. And then after these pitches, it will be time for the judges to choose a winning team and for you to vote for the pitch that most resonates with you to win the People's Choice Award. And we're expecting this to be quite a close competition, I have to say. Also, on a personal note, before we get started, these participants, the young leaders you're about to see, they have impressed me immensely, because since starting Smart Seeds 14 weeks ago, as complete strangers, mind you, they have had more than their fair share of curveballs, I have to say. And through all of it, they've displayed teamwork, agility, adaptability, and a can-do attitude. That these are the sort of qualities we just want to foster in Smart Seeds, and they have it in spades. I'd like to hand over now, it's my great pleasure to introduce GHD Digital's president, Mr. Kumar Parakala, all the way from Chicago, for a few words. Thank you, Kumar.
Thank you, Emma. That was a great introduction, and a good afternoon to everyone. I am Kumar Parakala. I'm the president of GHD Digital. I'm delighted to join you this afternoon from Chicago to celebrate a fantastic end to this Smart Seeds program. I'd like to start by congratulating each one of our 23 participants. Your collective dedication, teamwork, and creative minds have led to some groundbreaking ideas and innovative thinking. And I'm excited to see your pitches in front of our esteemed panel of judges. I strongly believe that to create lasting community benefit in today's rapidly changing world, we require collective insights, diversity, creativity, agility, and leadership. This mindset drives everything we do at GHD Digital and at GHD, where we leverage digital technologies and innovation to help our clients transform their businesses and reinvent themselves. Smart Seeds is now approaching its 10th year, and I have seen the long-term benefits of this collaborative environment of many emerging leaders. Building an innovative culture and adaptable teams is an iterative journey. We applaud the organizations who have invested in their people to begin this journey, and thank the many individuals who are playing a role in creating an environment for innovation to grow. I hope this experience has given all of our young professionals the confidence and inspiration to continue to influence change as you develop your careers and help transform our communities for generations to come. Best of luck to all of you. Now I'd like to share a video that captures GHD's vision for future communities. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and thank you to Emma, Adam and Kumar for the welcome and introductions. I'm Michelle Kramer, GHD's Future Communities Leader in Australia and sponsor of this Future Communities Smart Seeds program. The video we just shared was produced to communicate to clients and industry colleagues our deeply held belief that the communities now and in the future will need to balance multiple needs and wants, ambitions and aspirations to be successful and sustainable. And the focus on youth in the video is quite intentional. Together with Australia's young professionals, I believe we can tackle the big challenges facing our country and find genuine, innovative, creative ideas to take us forward. At GHD, we believe that successful future communities are resilient, productive, connected, and inspired, regardless of their scale, geography, purpose, cultural identity, or any other contextual feature. We also believe that by putting people first, we can create human-centered communities that are the very best version of themselves, balancing unique purpose, place, and people into the future. We think of it as the necessary emphasis of the S in ESG and how that relates to infrastructure provision. How will people use it rather than what it is? GHD plays an important role in the provision of infrastructure of all types, be it roads, water treatment plants, social and community facilities, or public places and spaces. And that responsibility to all Australians is not lost on us. So we are delighted to have shared that responsibility with the extraordinary young professionals in this program. They come from across industry, public and private sectors, not-for-profits, contractors, and more. I'd like to thank our participating organisations for letting us share these talented emerging professionals and to thank them for all their hard work over the last 14 weeks. I'm also delighted that we have shared the roles of challenge champions and mentors with these organisations, which has ensured that the young professionals have been inspired and guided by the best across Australia's property industry. And a huge thanks to our judges who have the extraordinary task of deciding which team will be identified as having the leading idea. We set our teams the following incredibly difficult challenges. How can we ensure housing affordability in Australia? How can we achieve place attraction and vitality? How can we make sure the voices of community participate in community shaping? How can we be better prepared for and best respond to climate shocks like floods and fires? And what can we learn from the pandemic in terms of celebrating local, hybrid working, using technology, and more? These challenges are complicated and reach into the hearts, minds, and desires of our communities. And I personally can't wait to see what creative ideas our teams have developed. So with that, I'll hand over to Jill Hannaford, GHD's Global Future Communities Lead, to introduce our judges, and then on to the amazing minds across this virtual room to showcase what the future might look like. Thanks, everyone, and over to you, Jill.
Thank you very much, Michelle. And despite my many years in the profession, there's something about Smart Seeds that always gets me excited. So I'm delighted to be chairing the judging panel today. Kumar mentioned that the judging panel was quite esteemed. I'd also like to say that they're acclaimed. You've already met Adam Davids, but what you didn't hear about Adam was that Adam is also a Fulbright scholar. He's a non-executive director at Social Ventures Australia, and he's a Kenneth Meyer Innovation Fellow. Adam is a great friend of GHD, and we're delighted to have him here today. I'd also like to introduce you to Toby Thorpe. Toby was the 2021 Tasmanian Young Australian of the Year and the 2020 Premier's Young Achiever of the Year. Quite an accomplishment for someone so young. He's a very experienced public speaker and facilitator and is an expert at working with civil and social organisations. Thank you so much for joining us, Toby. And finally, I'd like to introduce Nicole Gurran. Nicole is the Professor of Urban and Regional Planning at the University of Sydney and the Director of the Henry Halloran Trust, which supports multidisciplinary research and debate on cities and regions. We're really looking forward to hearing all the presentations today and to the hard task of making a choice at the end of the session. Thank you very much, Emma.
Thank you, Jill. Look, I know we're all super excited to hear from the teams and to see them present their incredible ideas, but just a quick reminder to all of you first, that following the pictures, there will be an award ceremony, and there are 2 Smart Seeds Awards up for grabs today, the Judges Award and the People's Choice Award. So when the time comes, please make sure you vote in the People's Choice Award for us, and I'll let you know once the poll is live. For now, though, feel free to post any words of encouragement to the teams in the chat to the right of the live stream. You can also make this video full screen if you like by clicking the enlarge button. But we really, really want those comments and chats to come through. So thank you for participating. And that's enough from me. Let's get started. So our first team is Place Insights, who took on the challenge of achieving sustainable place attraction. Welcome, Ali Morgan.
Thank you, Emma. So good afternoon, everybody. We're the team at Place Insights, a multidisciplinary group of young professionals with capabilities in technology, innovation, user experience, urban design, and the delivery of thriving places. My name is Ali Morgan, and I'm from Transport for New South Wales. And I'd like to introduce my fellow team members: Jessica Carson from GHD, Alex Frost from Sydney Water, Jack Holmes from Renewal SA, and Ben Johnston from Holland. Our mission at Place Insights is to help reveal the true nature of our places and spaces and turn user behavior data into valuable resource that informs great design and placemaking outcomes.
You can tell when a place is thriving, alive with activity, vitality, and energy. But how would you know how a place might be improved? Place Insights provides a platform for government and developers to better understand the behaviours and preferences of the communities they serve.
Through integration of smart sensors into public realm furniture, our places can tell us exactly how they're being used. Our platform captures a rich record of user behaviour data for analysis, and our predictive AI extracts valuable insights to help you make better long-term investment decisions.
Our range of off-the-shelf smart public realm solutions capture data to inform better public space design. The Humble Bench now predicts the busiest times of the day and year, informs the optimal trading hours of the new cafe, and automatically evaluates the success of the latest placemaking activity.
Place Insights offers clients value add through layering of user insights with data from emerging fields such as sentiment insights through our various tech partnerships. Our constantly expanding network of smart places will give us insights from around the country and can identify trends long before they show up in the economic data.
The industry has been waiting for readily deployable products and a holistic solution for user behaviour insights. We want to partner with those forward-thinking placemakers to pilot our product range and to draw out the full scope and value of what Place Insights' predictive AI and insights platform can offer.
Wow, well, we've started with a ripper. Nicole, what do you think an AI predictive analytics platform to really understand how a place is used? What do you think?
Thanks, Emma, and congratulations, Ali and team. I really, really love this project. It's extremely timely. It's very topical. So I'm going to ask you a really tricky question. We know in urban design and in placemaking, there's a real risk that we can be biased actually in our approaches and sort of reinforce either our imagined sense of who community users might be, or reinforce established, patterns that might prioritise the able-bodied or people who feel safe in public spaces. How might your tool overcome those kinds of issues and contribute to more inclusive and safe placemaking?
Thanks for the question, Nicole. Our tool is a live feedback tool that is based in sensors that are placed throughout the public space in furniture, and it's not reliant on, say someone using an iPhone, and having a range of different receptors that is able to capture data through many different ways. It tries to create a full picture, or as full a picture in quantitative data that can then be used to continue to improve that space, make it as inclusive as possible, recognize what works best in that place to continue doing those things, and then also indicate where it might not be doing so well or opportunities for it to improve. So it's a way to continually consult the community and the users of the space to ensure that this space is sustaining all of its users and is inclusive as possible.
Great, thanks, Jessica. I'm going to squeeze in one more question, and then if time, I'll throw to my team. Tell us, how do you deal with privacy concerns around data capture and collection in this space?
Thanks, Nicole. That's definitely a very valid concern that we've been dealing through and working with our future potential customers. Our system doesn't recognize individuals or build profiles on users. So unlike facial recognition or social media, our data is de-identified from the start and by design. We intend to keep it that way, keeping the emphasis on making spaces welcoming and attractive to as many users as possible, rather than building profiles on our customers, unlike what existing data systems might. We also understand that to meet the needs of customers, such as the local government, we need to perform to a high standard when it comes to data and privacy. So to reassure the community is not at risk, so that their privacy is not at risk.
That's fantastic. Thank you, Alex. And I can see that I don't have any other questions lined up from my judging team, which means I get to ask the last one. And that is, what do you see as the real barriers to engaging with planners and designers and getting them to sort of understand and absorb the potential of this type of technology?
True, that is a good question, and we hope those barriers to be not so great. In fact, there are similar tools already used for other applications such as traffic and intersection data, and that sort of stuff has been informing planning and building decisions for a long time. So what we're hoping to do here is to break down the barrier of complexity and assumed challenge with implementing a system like this by having a one-stop shop in which a whole bespoke addition to a place can be designed and conceived and implemented in line with a normal project timeframe, and rather than being a scary thing that developers and councils feel that they're not capable of delivering themselves.
Thank you.
That's brilliant. Well done, team. That's it for you now. You can relax and see the chat come through. Our next team is the Collective Climate Resilience Initiative. And I'm handing over now to Caitlin Neal. Welcome, Caitlin.
Thanks, Emma, and hi, everyone. To address a very real and broad challenge we were given, our team, consisting of Haneen Haj Ahmed from GHD, Caitlin Withers from the Hunter and Central Coast Development Corporation, Genevieve Gittins from Stockland, Christopher Yip from McConnell Dowell Constructors, and myself from Sydney Water, have found that through our research, the solution needed to be a multi-step process to bring about industry connectivity that aims to improve overall community resilience. We have called this the Collective Climate Resilience Initiative, and we hope that you enjoy our following pitch video.
Recent climate events such as flooding, fires, and heat waves are impacting our communities. Millions of hectares burnt, many lives lost, and billions claimed in insurance over the past 3 years alone. Maintaining key infrastructure such as power, water, and road access during and after these events is essential to being prepared and to ensure we can recover quickly and remain operational. Through our research, we identified many stakeholders have their own climate response plans, but how do we create a connected response? To achieve this, we propose the Collective Climate Resilience Initiative. We plan to create a framework which enables infrastructure preparedness and connectedness during climate crisis by encouraging collaboration amongst corporate Australia.
The initiative will bring together a steering committee of corporations, government, utility and infrastructure providers. The advantages uplift the planet, people and profit. Through less infrastructure damage, we're reducing our impact on the environment. Communities are protected through maintained operations, providing continued access to basic needs, and more resilient buildings incur less physical damage, reducing repair costs.
Collaboration with industry partners is key by partnering with industries to establish a steering committee and governance framework, developing a succinct action plan to connect existing plans, piloting solutions from action plans to local governments like Lismore City Council, and review and refine the action plan with additional stakeholder engagement.
Connectivity is key for preparing for climate shock events. The time to act is now. For our communities to be better prepared for tomorrow, we are asking today for a partnership with organizations such as the Green Building Council and Infrastructure Australia to participate in our steering committee, sharing of climate response plans for a more unified community response, and a representative from your company to take an active role in the steering committee. The more connected we are, the more powerful we are.
So collaboration and preparedness, it sounds like a very simple way forward or a very clear way forward. Toby, I'm sure you've got some great questions for this. So for this team, so I'm going to hand over to you.
Thank you. A great presentation as well. I think, the impacts of climate change on especially local council areas and local governments is heavily felt in the way of how do we actually respond and manage our response. But my first question is that I think the impact of climate change, whether it's floods, natural disaster, is already very present. So how is your initiative already going to be working or support these sort of areas across Australia or the world that are already feeling those impacts, probably first and worst?
Yeah, great question. I guess already sort of mentioned in our roadmap, you would have seen that we would want to, I guess, pilot some of the solutions that come out of the initiative. So, for example, the Lismore City Council. But Haneen, would you like to add a bit more detail for this?
Yep, for sure. Thanks, Caitlin. So the reason we chose flooding to be our climate shock response was because we know that in Australia, we've experienced a lot of flooding this year. So a lot of cities in Queensland and New South Wales especially have experienced it a lot, which was why we chose Lismore City Council to be the area where we would put in our pilot study. So with this framework, we could go a bunch of different directions, which will need further research. But some of the things that we have come up with was, for example, setting up an economic metric to show what cost savings could lead to a more resilient infrastructure. Or we could have a preparedness scale, for example, for the community, where we can send out a survey and see how prepared they feel before and after our framework using that survey. And yep, so our framework is basically going to be bringing these infrastructure systems together, specifically in areas that have high chances of climate shocks happening.
Great. And I'm not as lucky as the previous group where Adam has a question as well. So I'd love to check over to Adam.
Oh, thank you. I really love the diagram with the ecosystem of the different players that are involved. And I wondered, well, my interpretation of one of the calls to action was that you wanted to get a representative from a range of organizations to participate. Was there any consideration around any barriers that might prevent these bodies to provide a representative, and how would you address any barriers that might stop them?
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, we won't, I guess, understand those barriers until we undertake this. But we know that this is a solution that is opt-in for different industries when we get to that stage. And we think that there's different ways that we can utilize, for example, their pre-existing communication channels and plans to kind of see the links there. But Genevieve, if you would like to chime in here with a bit more detail around this, that'd be excellent.
Thanks, Kate. Sorry, am I on screen?
Yep.
Oh, sorry, all I can see is Kate. Sorry. Yeah, that was one of the big challenges that we saw actually, as far as kicking our initiative off the ground, was garnering that engagement from industry and participation from industry and other bodies. So we saw that there could be some real opportunities in partnering with companies such as the Green Building Council of Australia, Infrastructure Australia, so businesses that are already doing a lot of work in this space. We'd hope to be able to leverage off their connections through industry to garner engagement throughout other businesses. And as Caitlin touched on, ideally, we were hoping to leverage off questions or tools that they already have in place that, that are well spread throughout industry already, such as the Green Star tools and the neighbours buildings ratings as well. So rather than creating duplication, we were hoping to foster those strong connections and leverage off their market penetration as well.
That's an excellent presentation. Thank you, Collective Climate Resilience Initiative, and good luck. And thank you, Toby and judges. So we're up to our third team already. So let's hear from this team who's been finding new ways to make sure that the voices of community are heard and included. From Team Comnext, I welcome Purnima Kare. Purnima, over to you.
Thanks, Emma. We are Voices of the Community, consisting of 5 individuals: Amanda from Orange City Council, Jack from Department for Infrastructure and Transport, Jacob from Stockland, Krista from GHD, and myself, Purnima, from Sydney Water. We are obsessed with community engagement and excellence and empowering all voices. We have professional backgrounds in people and culture, data, energy, innovation, and government. Our endeavor to include all voices of the community included researching the pain points for youth when contributing to community engagements. As members of this group ourselves, the research reflected how we felt, that the youth are passionate about their community, but cannot conveniently contribute in a way that suits them. Our solution will target the youth directly through social media to build a strong user base. Communities and governments will appreciate our solution as an easy, one-stop shop for the full engagement lifecycle for projects. Our pitch video will explain the solution further.
If you love your community but feel like all voices are not heard in the creation of safe public places and spaces, if you can't find the time to contribute wholeheartedly as you'd like, Comnext is the solution for you.
I saw Comnext on Instagram. When I downloaded the app, I got a notification that there was a project to build a new park near my house. I posted some initial feedback about their plans. When the opportunity then opened for an online community meeting about the park, I signed up. This meeting included a range of different people from our community at a time that suited me in the comfort of my own home. I was impressed that my feedback was heard, and I now take my family to the park all the time.
Yeah, so I signed up for the online community chat because I wanted a place to practice my tricks and hang out with my mates. I honestly wasn't sure whether I'd bother, but the process was super easy. And a couple of months ago, I received a notification that the council shortlisted my idea to paint a mural in Lotus Lane. By contributing on the app, I gained community engagement points and earned credits. Enough credits and I could get my contribution recognised on a plaque in the park.
Comnext pulls project information from state government planning portals and council websites. We give councils a strong user base and the functionality to connect over the full project lifecycle. Councils can connect back to communities, providing feedback through the newsfeed function. Comnext is the next generation in community engagement. We empower community members to speak up and engage. Councils that sign up will have instant engagement with our online community platform. We are seeking your commitment to sign up for our engagement app and join Comnext in creating safe public places and spaces.
Adam, I'm going to throw to you straight away for some comments and questions, please.
Thank you. Thank you. Wow, what an incredible pitch. So excited by this one. I was very interested in the idea of pulling data from government sources, thinking about the sort of long-term sustainability of that process, not knowing all that much about these databases and where you actually would draw information from. Do you see any potential issues where information that you can pull data from today sort of becomes challenging tomorrow or years into the future? Is that a consideration that you thought about?
I'm happy to answer that one. So I guess at the moment, New South Wales Planning Portal is a good example where it's now a legislative requirement that all like development applications need to go through there. So that's actually an easy thing. So if anything, the technology is helping it become easier is, you know, where it would head. Because at the moment you think if there's 3 different councils with 3 different community engagements, you actually can't find that data, whereas this would allow you to be able to see straight away that the place where I live, work, and all that sort of stuff is all in the one spot. So hopefully technology just makes it easier and better in future rather than harder.
Thank you. Jill, I think you have a question.
Yeah, I do. Thanks, Adam. Great idea. And coming from a background in community engagement myself, I'm really curious about one of the fundamental challenges of community engagement that's been around from the first time anybody spoke to a piece of infrastructure that might be being planned from that area. And that is, how do we make sure that the tools we're using are inclusive? What do you think your solution does for that inclusivity and not just going to the voices who always want to have a say?
I can answer that one if you'd like. Yeah, so I guess where we came from is looking at this tool as an and rather than an or. So on top of the existing engagement processes, and we found that often, for example, the elderly who, you know, potentially less digitally literate and would struggle perhaps with some elements of an app on typically, they already well covered often by the current engagement processes. What we found was that the young people and the young families in particular, which was our target market for this particular product, although it's not limited to those, we found that it hits a lot of the pain points for those sectors of the society.
Thank you.
Thank you. I also wondered, like, what's the ultimate value proposition to a council? I know the council was a theme in the presentation. What ultimately does it come down to, the value to a council to promote this?
We're hoping it's the actual user base. So if you build up through social media your user base, it actually means you've got more engagement than ever, which I'm hoping that all councils believe that good engagement includes engaging with every single person. So if you know that there's a bigger user base than what you've already got in your engagement platforms, then that is the sell factor, I guess.
Yeah. And the idea of this is it helps. Do you think that the councils see this as an existing problem, that there's a lack of connection at the moment? That's the ultimate problem that you're helping them solve? Is the connectivity?
I think similar to what Jill was saying, that yeah, so the problem of like the current people only getting a few responses. So I think Jill touched on, you always get the same ones who respond. I think this would mean that you've got a broader diversity of responses rather than the current couple that always seem to do it.
Thank you.
Well, that's fantastic, Comnext. And I love that you made the distinction or the observation that people don't always live and work in the same local government area. So I'm really pleased now to welcome our 4th team, the HUGGA Project, who took on the challenge, making affordable housing accessible for future generations. Now, who doesn't want to hear about this? Bronte, please, over to you and tell us your solution for this.
Thanks, Emma, and hi, everyone. My name is Bronte Ingram, and I'm a graduate civil engineer at GHD. I'm joined by my fellow teammates, Catherine Curtin, Design Manager at Stockland, Stephen Collins, Strategic Design and Planning Engineer at Orange City Council, Effie Warren, Regional Manager at Bridge Housing, and Hayden Franklin, Engineer at the Department for Infrastructure and Transport. Currently in Australia, housing affordability is a national level crisis, forcing many into housing stress and even homelessness. Among those severely impacted by this crisis are the ever-growing cohort of young adults and children as young as 16 who age out of foster care and have no support and nowhere to go. Our solution, the HUGGA Project, aims to provide youths exiting foster care with the necessary housing, skills, and support to assist in their transition to adulthood. We have the chance to end homelessness today, and you can be part of the solution. We hope you enjoy our video.
The affordability housing crisis affects young people ageing out of foster care. Nearly half end up homeless, unemployed, or in prison within a year. Could you imagine yourself, your child, or grandchild having to juggle this at 16?
The HUGGA Project aims to provide a low-cost housing solution on available land near hubs with wraparound support services that essentially hug the youth. The HUGGA Project model consists of 6 key steps. Firstly, we'd seek multi-organisation partnerships, providing links to landowners, developers, housing providers and service networks to combine skills and resources.
With their help, we'd find potential land that is otherwise vacant or waiting to be developed near existing urban hubs. These could be land banks, institutions or church land as an example.
With land identified, we would nominate the most appropriate cohort to reside here.
Each cohort requires a unique set of support services to assist them as they navigate this transition period.
Following funding and approval, we aim to deliver an affordable housing solution, such as transportable tiny homes to provide youths access to housing. The project provides key services like life skills, careers, budgeting, education and employment support to enable their independency and agency. Finally, evaluating and measuring the benefits to youths and the community should be undertaken so that learnings can be built into the next project. These measures include financial, well-being, employment, attendance and happiness levels.
The HUGGA Project provides a safe, secure space for young people to foster independence and confidence, ensuring they are better prepared for adulthood. By extending the years of semi-independent care, this housing and support solution can tackle the major cost of homelessness, unemployment, substance abuse and hospitalisation, potentially saving up to $40 million each year.
Everyone here today has value to add to this conversation. We ask to tap into your cohort and networks so we can create the HUGGA Project.
Well, Jill, this is a very ambitious and holistic concept, and I know you'll have some questions, so I'm going to start with you first, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Emma. This is such a wicked problem for Australia, but for us globally. I really like the fact that you honed in on one particular cohort, because I think trying to solve the overarching problem in the time you've had would have been impossible. My question is a little bit of a detailed one. You talked about land being available. We know how time critical this issue is. Did you consider the option of using facilities that might be vacant, including lots of commentary at the moment about empty or underutilised office facilities?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I guess how we honed in on this, it's such a huge problem, and we had to come up with something niche but also scalable. So I guess we did consider vacant buildings and things like that. But there's quite a lot of challenges surrounding that. And how we honed in on land banks was the transportable nature of these tiny homes that we're suggesting, so that we can help as many people as possible. If anyone wanted to add to that, feel free.
I might just add, I guess, empty offices in terms of the typology is quite different to residential, studio apartments. So there's a lot of kind of service provisions that you're going to have to allow for. So our idea of transportable homes is everything's kind of integrated in that. We find available land, which we've identified there are in terms of, developers have land that are waiting to be developed, or infrastructure projects or churches. So that's that real opportunity to bring in these transportable homes, utilize them while these youth cohort are kind of in this space. And then in the future, potentially we could reuse those transportable homes for another land bank that we've identified. So it's that reuse, trying to, be sustainable in our thinking.
Yeah. Great, thank you. And I know Nicole will have a question on this, given much of her career research has been on affordable housing, and you'll often see her in the media talking about these issues. So Nicole, over to you.
Thanks, Jill, and congratulations, team. Look, I did want to probe you on the temporary nature of what you're proposing, because that seems why you've hit on tiny homes, for instance, as the typology. Do you think that's critical to your project, and are you sort of seeing this revolving? I guess I'd just ask you to elaborate a little bit more on that, particularly once you invest in lining up services and wraparound, all of those wraparound services that are so critical to the model. If you're then moving on to another site, potentially moving the homes, is it you start again, or, just tell us a little bit more about how that transitional model might work.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer that one if you guys like. So I guess transitional housing isn't the answer to homelessness. It can be a part of the answer. So that's why we really looked in on the cohort of the young people, because we believe that that is more of a transitional period in their life. And we didn't look too far into where in the areas will the support services be in the same spots, or would we be able to move them with wherever the land banks are? So I guess it just depends where the land banks become available and what support services we partner with.
And I might just add, we wanted to find available land that was near existing urban hubs so that they already have some of the infrastructure in place. So, for example, if you're in Macquarie Park and you've got some medical centres, or you're close to transport or clinics, I think there's opportunity to tap into existing infrastructure as well.
Okay, Emma, I think, are we out of time? Yeah.
There's so much more I would like to know about all of these pictures as well, but we're already up to our final team, and I thank you, HUGGA Project. But the final team are tackling the post-pandemic community challenge, and we have Isaac McCormack here to introduce us to Virtual Grandchild.
Hello all. Yes, I'm Isaac McCormack, a graduate here at GHD Digital, and my team was composed of Vinnie Tandell, a project manager at the Department of Transport and Infrastructure, Haley McCarr, an environmental advisor at McConnell and Dowell, and Brody Wilcox, an innovation consultant here at GHD Digital. And our team was composed, and we came together as Virtual Grandchild. And this really came out of us looking at what we did learn in the pandemic and what fell behind. And what really fell behind was a certain group of people, the elderly, and what the benefits was what we're doing right now, being here on Teams, this sort of technology. And our video hopefully goes to how we tackled it for that group of stakeholders, being the elderly. So with that, to the video. Thank you.
We have all had a call from our grandparents about how to use their phone, TV, or remote control. With so many everyday activities now being moved online, how do we ensure our most vulnerable community members are not left behind? After speaking with community members about their pandemic experience, 75% noticed that the elderly were struggling to adapt and saw value in helping them but didn't know how. Virtual Grandchild is the solution. Virtual Grandchild is a digital access hotline that immediately connects the elderly population with essential services and provides technical guidance. Virtual Grandchild is a government-funded initiative providing every person over the age of 55 a simplified access point. A person can call or text the hotline and receive a URL link to streamline the process of accessing what they seek online. Take Susan, who lives on her own and struggles to go grocery shopping. She has a list of items and calls Virtual Grandchild after seeing an ad on TV. She explains her problem to a real-time operator who sets up a grocery order with her preferred retailer and talks Susan through the online process. Gradually, Susan gains confidence in this process and relies on the operator less and less as she improves her digital literacy. Virtual Grandchild will begin with basic essential services, rolling out into more areas over time. We asked the federal government to fund Virtual Grandchild as a standardised nationwide service. We seek to create collaborative partnerships with retailers, service providers and nursing homes to inform key requirements for future product integration and success. With Virtual Grandchild, people like Susan can be assured that support is available whenever they need it. Virtual Grandchild will enable our most vulnerable community members to independently access essential products and services and live safe, happy, healthy lives.
It's a very strong concept. Pretty amazing. Nicole, I'm going to throw to you for comments, please.
Great, thanks Emma, and congratulations team. I actually had some really awkward moments early in the pandemic trying to get grandparents hooked up to online shopping and Zoom, and yeah, anyway, there were some disasters, so I really relate to this proposition. I actually want to know how viable the tech is. It actually, it just sounds so absolutely wonderful. But is it really possible?
Yeah, I can answer that question. So the whole process of our design process with this was we weren't actually trying to make a new wheel or reinvent the wheel. We just took like axles, bolts and nuts and put things that already exist, things that are already happening, a number of different services, and combine them into one place. So the URL link and this operator, there's already services that exist for the elderly to help them online, and we're combining them with simple URL links and bringing these two things together, which we think will be really helpful in terms of providing access. So the technology is already there, we just put it all in one place.
Wow. All right. Well, I have more questions. I'm just letting my team know that they can butt in if they've got something that they're burning to ask. But knowing that the tech's available is one thing. What about the actual service provision, which is very differential? So you might be able to get groceries in a Sydney, but can you get groceries, in a rural or a regional town? Does the service adapt to the spatial variation in access to actual services?
Yes, we hope it does. And that's why in our roadmap, we outlined this idea around beginning a pilot program in these more centralized places. And then as we develop up the sort of service that is provided, as we mentioned in the video, it will lead us to being able to get more of these services to elderly people in more rural communities. And this was a response that we did see emerge out of the pandemic, is these services could be provided, but a lot of the time it was how did they access them and how did they find how to get to those services. And again, that's what we're trying to solve, is access to service or connecting elderly with these services.
Yeah. Wow, that's exciting. And I know Adam has a question as well.
Yeah, I have a question. Kudos on the presentation. I couldn't help smiling through particularly the second half of it. Obviously the first half is outlining the problem it's a real challenge. I wondered, the virtual grandchild, love it. The idea of having a sort of one-stop shop. I just wondered what challenges you sort of thought about or could foresee with trying to build a kind of a team of people who are experts on such a wide variety of different things to help an elderly person with. You reference things like shopping and the NDIS, and it looked like there was a lot of diversity in terms of the kinds of challenges that, if you could just pick up the phone and get someone to give you any answer that you needed, what challenges did you sort of think about or how to overcome?
Yeah, that was a really big discussion point we had early on in the group about, like, how are we trying to do too much here? Is it getting too big? Is it getting out of hand? And what we really were looking at, again, is starting small with these ideas around groceries and medication, and then building up the network from there. And again, it was looking at, there's, what's it called? There's a program that's already run for elderly people that is called Cyber Seniors, I think. Oh, Haley, you want to go? Sorry?
Seniors Connected program. Yeah.
Seniors Connect program, yes, is it does a very similar service already, and we're trying to sort of expand upon that. But there would be barriers in getting these people trained up in all these different things, and that is why we proceeded a slower rollout over time into more and more services as the program became more viable.
just to jump in there, Isaac, also that's also going back to the reason why we want to tap into an existing system rather than developing a whole system.
Thanks so much, team, and congratulations again.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations indeed. And now, judges, you have a very tough decision to make, I have to say. And you only have a few minutes to do it. And we can't wait to hear the announcement at the end. So we're going to send you to the green room. Off you go. And in the meantime, we are throwing over to you, our audience, to vote and decide the choice of the people. So you should now see a poll coming up where you can select the pitch that resonated most with you. I think that's all I can say is which one resonated most. Pick that one. But let me help you with a quick recap. You'll recall that In Place Insights, they are on a mission to reveal the true nature of our places and spaces using that data and predictive analytics. The Collective Climate Resilience Initiative is looking to help critical infrastructure providers to better understand and prepare for climate shock events to lessen the impact on the communities that they support. Comnext, our third team, is elevating the needs and opinions of young people and empowering them to actively participate as leaders of their community. The HUGGA Project will provide young people aging out of foster care with the necessary housing, skills and support to assist them as they transition into adulthood. And finally, you just saw Virtual Grandchild offering a service to older citizens to access digital services and improve their digital abilities. So which of these resonated most with you? Terrific. I can see that there's already some votes coming in. That's fantastic. And we'll keep the poll open so that you've got time to consider and put your vote in, because I know that it is a tough choice to make. And for those of you who've already voted and while you're deliberating, I would really like to take this moment to hear from some of our participants and to give you all a sense of really what goes on behind, in the build up to this very short virtual showcase. So I'm going to bring on stage with me Crystal Tang, Punima Kare, Amanda Kerslake, and Jake DeLister to share a bit about their experience with the Smart Seas program. Thank you for the extra questions. Crystal, can you first tell us how your team took on an enormously complex challenge and distilled it into a solution? Yeah. And what was a highlight for you as well with Smart Seeds?
Yeah. Thanks, Emma. Hi, everyone. I'm a civil engineer and project manager with GHD. And I guess as a consultant, it's really easy to get stuck in our day-to-day project work and not take time to do that broader thinking. What the program has really taught me is a different way to approach a problem. So using the problem solving process that they taught us, our first few weeks forced us to get down to the crux of the problem. We held interviews with professional consultants and members of the community. We also put together an online survey and sent it around to our respective organisations and received an amazing 80 responses back, all in the short span of a week. We pulled out key themes from our research and interviews, and this helped to narrow down the problem. Our team was really keen to get to a solution. We thought we understood what the problem was, and we had to stop ourselves from jumping into solution mode and really persist with this initial phase and trust the process. I now reflect that allowing ourselves the time to understand the problem and actually draw out the key themes, identify our key stakeholders, understand their role, their pains and gains. That's really what ultimately led us to our overall solution. Now that I've lived the experience, I truly understand the thought process of human-centric design, which was taught through the Smart Seas program. So that's been a real highlight for me, is really cementing that learning. The whole process really has forced me to approach a big problem in a different way. In my day-to-day work, we usually apply the low-risk solution and move on. I now see that there's opportunities, and I've got different techniques to actually apply innovation throughout the design lifecycle, and I really can't wait to challenge my thinking more in my everyday work.
That's wonderful to hear, and I love that you're thinking about not always taking the low risk solution to these. So thanks so much, Crystal. Amanda, another part of the process with Smart Seas is around that, drawing on that diverse thinking and diverse points of view, and it's really critical to, but it can also add to the complexity of what you're trying to do. Were there any challenges that you came across?
So in terms of the diversity and challenges, I guess that all the way through, well, one of the things was, and I think that things that pushed us out of the comfort zone were things that, like the pivot coaches during the challenge. So we presented and pitched a few of our ideas, and there was a moment where the pivot coaches were actually challenged our idea a little bit. And like I literally, it was like a gut feel that you were like growing and learning, where you were like, oh, what do I do now? So you could actually feel this thing where you had to go, okay, I actually have to adjust now. And this idea that you had is no longer viable, which is really challenging. So it was definitely a good learning. And then also making sure that we touch back with all those people we interviewed that Crystal talked about. So I sort of checked in with a few of our people that we interviewed along the way, just to make sure we're still ticking all the boxes from a diverse point of view. And also the pivot coaches now, I'm sort of looking at ways of how I've already incorporated into my team as well. So I really like that strategy or approach in training or learning, because it's definitely an instantaneous challenge and growth opportunity as well. So I liked that.
That's great to hear, and it's really, you've painted a great picture about it being also a physical, like you felt that physical growth as well. It's not, you really noticed it.
Yeah.
So Pranima, your team, or this team, were actually from different organizations across 3 different states. So how did you go working as a team through this and supporting each other from afar?
So this was my first time having an online team, like doing something like this, and with like people in different time zones, and it turned out to be absolutely amazing. Like my teammates were really like nice, they were understanding, and we all adjusted to each other's time zone and our priorities. Like somebody has some meetings or they have other things to do, so we would just like change our timings or meet after work. So it was really nice to work with. Like these guys have been blessing. So I would say online learning has been really good for me. And also just touching base on the process, like how we developed and this idea and went through it. And just Crystal said it so beautifully, the design learning process was so good. Like it was just how we have to like go away from the problem and think it like we can't solve everything in one go. So how we can solve it in bits and pieces, where we can direct our energy to and find solution. And especially with this design learning process of learning and applying it instantaneously. Like in our workshop, we would learn and we would apply it. So that has been really wonderful.
Thank you. That does share a few more insights. And finally, Jack, is there anything more you'd like to add to build on these learnings and highlights from your teammates that you could share with us?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm a graduate pavement engineer with the South Australian Department for Infrastructure and Transport. And I guess the key takeaway for me was, as a graduate, you're often not the expert in the room. And, we came into this with lots of different skills, but I don't think any of us could call ourselves experts in community engagement before we did this challenge. And I guess that meant that while we didn't have the benefit of that experience, we also didn't have to knock down any preconceived notions about what community engagement, what good community engagement looks like. So it enabled us, I guess, to go for blue sky thinking with our ideas. And I guess the takeaway for me coming back to my everyday role is, even if I'm not the expert in the meeting, the fact that I still, know a little bit about the project and can contribute, even what little I have, I might actually have an insight that other people have overlooked. So, yeah.
think, Jack, that insight you just gave about, I mean, I'd sum it up as saying that a good idea, a good question, or a good insight can come from anyone. That's a really important part of thing to observe and thing to know. And I want to build on that and just remind the audience that every team in their pitch did ask for something of you. I don't know if you noticed or not. So please don't be shy, because a good idea, a good question or suggestion, or a little connection you might have could really lead and create a ripple effect and build on these solutions. You just never know where they can go after smart seeds, and some of them can go quite far. So please, if you're thinking you could help one of these teams, even in a little way, the best way is to reach out to us through info@smartseeds.org. And we'll be obviously sharing a lot more about this showcase today, because we will be celebrating all the teams, but especially announcing the winners and letting you know. Now, I'm just conferring with the judges and checking if we have a winner. Jill, welcome back.
Thank you. Yes, we do have a winner, Emma.
Excellent. Well, over to you.
Thank you. So that collectively amongst the judges was the fastest and furious 10 minutes of deliberation we've ever had to do. And I think we were absolutely united in our view that each and every one of the entrants was very, very well presented and well thought through, and you all deserve to be winners. But I know our job was to actually select one winner. So firstly, I'd like to give a special commendation to the virtual Grandchild project. In particular, we wanted to comment on how well that presentation was done, and the innovative idea that solves a particularly key societal challenge. But our winner today, and a unanimous decision, was the Comnext project.
Oh, yes.
And the judges saw that as an innovative solution to a very wicked challenge. Has widespread applicability, an absolute desire for an ease of implementation, and we saw that was possible. We saw that it would break down some barriers that have been in existence for a long time, and addresses some of those post-pandemic issues around community engagement. And it has applicability across Australia, we believe, for all place-based and community-based planning. So congratulations to that team, and congratulations to all the entrants.
Thank you, Jill, and congratulations again, Comnext. Panima, would you like to say a few words?
Yes, absolutely thrilled. But thank you for choosing us, and I would really like to thank all my team. We have done great teamwork. I really appreciate the team we were in, and I also want to thank our pitch coaches, mentors, and all the facilitators, Kay and Raz, and our individual mentors, managers who gave us this opportunity to participate in this program. Really thrilled. Thank you, everyone. And thanks to the judges.
Thank you so much, Panima. And again, congratulations. It is a hard choice. You've all worked so hard and done amazingly well in digging deep into the problems to find some fresh thinking. And next up, we have the People's Choice. I know the poll is closed, and I'm going to come back to Jill, to Michelle this time, because this People's Choice Award is really for the solution that best captured your attention as an audience. So thank you again, audience, for participating and staying with us and waiting for this final, very exciting announcement. Michelle.
Hi, everyone. Well, I have the very great pleasure to announce that the winner of this People's Choice Award, done by poll, so without me being able to give any commentary on it, is the HUGGA Project. So congratulations to everyone. And I'd like to ask that team to say a few words. Thank you.
Bronte? Congratulations, HUGGA Project. Bronte, are you available? Are you there to be able to say
yes.
a few words? Thank you.
Wow, this is a shock. Thank you so much. Thanks to, I guess, our team. We did a great job, I thought. Thanks to our mentor and our challenge champion, and thanks to the Smart Seeds program.
Thank you, Bronte. That's very short and sweet. But I also want to thank, while we're thanking everyone, I want to thank everyone that has been involved in the event today, behind the scenes, in the audience, our wonderful judges and participants, my fellow hosts. I think, we can all agree that hearing these challenges and these incredibly uplifting concepts to solve them, it gives you a whole fresh perspective, a whole new way of looking at things. I find it incredibly energizing. And well done again, HUGGA Project, and to Comnext. Michelle, would you like to say a few words as well?
Well, I can't wipe the smile off my face. I'm so excited by what you have all achieved. It's extraordinary, and I'm pretty impressed that judging and polling was also able to happen. So congratulations to absolutely everyone. Your enthusiasm throughout this program and today has been infectious, and congrats to the winners for 2022. So that ends our showcase event. But before we wrap up, I'd like to say a special thanks to the judges for their professional wisdom and practical application imparted to the teams along the way. At GHD, we deeply believe in building partnerships that make a difference in our communities where we live, work, and play. Our own GHD Foundation aims to give back to help build resilient communities. The Foundation's focus is on equitable access to science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths education through STEAM and careers for underrepresented communities. So as a sign of our gratitude, we asked each of the judges, challenge champions and mentors for their charity of choice, to which we will make a donation on their behalf. I'm delighted to say we will be donating to the Bunjalong Community Flood Relief in the Northern Rivers of New South Wales, Weave Youth and Community Services and their Cool Kids program, the Climate Council, Aboriginal Women and the Children's Crisis Service, ABCN, Australian Youth Climate Coalition, the RSPCA and the Smith family. And a final thank you to all of you who have participated, to our organisations and of course the stars of the show, our emerging professionals, without whom these inspiring, game-changing ideas could not have been created. I can't wait to see how they might flourish in the future. And thanks again to everyone. Back to you, Emma.
Thanks, Michelle. And I just want to echo that too, that for the teams, they're probably taking a deep breath and thinking, wow, we got there, but it could also be the beginning of seeing these solution concepts actually turn into reality. So remember what I said, if you think you can help spread those ripples just a little bit further, make sure you get in touch with us, and we'll be sharing, like I said, through LinkedIn and through your organizations, a wrap up of these great solutions so you don't forget them. Thank you again, everyone. Wish you a wonderful afternoon. Thanks for joining us.